This is StoryRobot. Welcome to r/Tales from Call Centers. Our first story of today had kind of a sad call the other night. I work second-level tech support for a major tech company. The other night, I received a consult from a first-level tech who was noticeably shaken and concerned. She reported that the customer was an elderly woman who has been getting disturbing and inappropriate photos, dead bodies, etc. showing up in her smartphone's photo reel, and that there have been some boys in the neighborhood harassing her and peeking into her window. I explained to the Tier 1 advisor that we have a procedure for calls like this, and directed her to our knowledge base that shows step by step what we need to do when a customer has a potentially breached account. I always try to do this with escalations, not to get out of a call, but to empower the other advisor with knowledge for future cases. This poor tech was rattled and I could tell that my advice wasn't getting through, but more importantly, the customer ultimately loses when an advisor is ill-equipped to help, so I gladly offered to take the call for her. I spoke with the customer and gathered background information of what's been happening, empathized, and assured her that she was in good hands. The customer was very sweet, but very nervous. I offered to screen share with her, so I could guide her through the process of securing her account, and she told me that she is mostly blind, so she wasn't sure how well she could work from her end. I explained that I'll have a large red pointer on her screen that will show her where to press on the screen. That seemed to help. So I went through our procedural steps on my end and found no changes made to her account, nor any unauthorized devices that could have been introducing unauthorized images in her photo reel. She then said she wanted me to look at the photos with her so I could see that they were happening. This poor woman, mostly blind, alone, and living in a bad neighborhood, she had worked herself up into a panic. She flipped through photo after photo, which turned out to be nothing but pictures of the inside of her home. She was convinced that in one of the pictures that there was a young man looking in the window. The photo, however, was a shot of her TV and an open door to another room with a dresser in view. No window, no young man. We scrolled through several more photos, and they were more or less all the same. Her furniture, television, etc. No dead bodies, no inappropriate content. When I tactfully explained what I was seeing in the photos, she relaxed quite a bit and I showed her how to reset her password and how to view any other devices that may be connected to her account. She apologized for troubling me, and I told her that no apology was necessary and that I was more than happy to help her get some peace of mind. I recommended she contact law enforcement if she felt threatened by her surroundings. She was practically in tears while thanking me, and it really made an impact on me all weekend. This was one of those cases, where I remind myself that our jobs are to fix the customer first, and the problem second. She likely didn't have any security issues on her phone at all, but she needed to talk to someone with a confident, calm, comforting tone who could make things as alright as they could be. I couldn't imagine how scary it must be to live in her circumstances, but that call reminded me why I love this job as much as I do. It's good to be the calming voice on the other end of the line to someone who desperately needs some good news. I know we all like to vent about our least favorite calls and whatnot, but there's a tremendous opportunity to be the best human beings we can be day after day. I love this work so much. Our second story of today is, IT professional tried to scam my company with bad Photoshop. I'm a supervisor for a large online retailer and most of the time the customers I deal with definitely need some extra help. Overall I like my job and I like helping people and fixing problems. Recently though I had the misfortune of dealing with one of the most entitled women I've ever encountered. We'll call her C. Now her original complaint was absolutely justified. She had ordered a full kitchen appliance suite, fridge, range, dishwasher, and microwave, and a full laundry suite, washer and dryer with pedestals in November as part of a Black Friday deal and they still hadn't been delivered in January. Major screw up on our part. The first time I spoke with C, I apologized profusely and offered to cover the cost of rental units for the essential items, fridge, range, washer, and dryer, until we could get her appliances delivered since the manufacturer had told us their order would be on backorder for another 3 weeks, plus there would be transit time after the backorder lifted, so we're looking at another month at least. Plus I told her we would look into further compensation after delivery for all the time it was delayed. She declined and asked if we could cover the cost of an Instant Pot instead since she already had a mini fridge and she could just cook in that and it would be easier for her. I agreed right away. If it's more convenient for her and less expensive for the company, I'm all in. It's not how we normally handle these things, but I'm willing to get creative if it benefits the customer, bonus if it benefits us as well. That's when C decides to try her first scam. I had asked her to send me an email with a picture of the receipt when she bought the Instant Pot so I could reimburse her for the total cost including tax. She sends me a receipt for the Instant Pot and a Keurig. C stated in her email that she expected reimbursement for both items. I called her right away and explained that, as agreed upon previously, I am happy to process the reimbursement for the Instant Pot, but since a Keurig does not fulfill any of the functions of her missing appliances, we would be unable to cover that cost. To be honest, if it had been like a $20 Mr. Coffee I would have gone with it, but a $140 Keurig. Keep dreaming. Of course C got super offended and said that since she and her husband make coffee on the stove every evening, the Keurig was fulfilling that function. I told her again that that wasn't going to happen and I would cover the Instant Pot only. She wasn't happy about it but agreed. Finally, delivery day arrives but they sent the wrong kitchen suite. C had ordered black and they delivered stainless steel. Plus the drivers the carrier had sent weren't qualified to do the installation of the kitchen appliances that was supposed to be included. Again, our screw up, so I apologized and offered to have the correct items shipped. She was welcome to use the incorrect ones in the meantime so she wouldn't be without, or if she wanted to keep the wrong set I would adjust the price. Stainless is less expensive than black, plus take this into consideration for compensation. She opted to keep the stainless, so then we have the installation issue to deal with. I called the carrier and the earliest appointment they had to send someone out to install was about a week and a half out. I offered C that appointment or up to $150 reimbursement to hire someone else. C wanted to hire someone else sooner. I was very clear and sent a follow-up email, after learning my lesson with the Instant Pot debacle, that we would only reimburse up to $150 and if it was going to be more than that she would need to send me a quote so I could see if a higher amount could be approved. I never received a quote but she emailed me back saying she had an appointment for installation in a few days. After installation, I reached out to C to make sure everything was working and see if we were finished with everything so we could discuss compensation. I also asked her to email me the invoice for the installation. She emailed me back an Excel spreadsheet showing an $800 installation cost. I laughed and emailed her back explaining that we needed a picture of her signed invoice on the installation company's letterhead. While waiting for this I decided to Google her since this whole time C had been telling me she was a very important person and she would make sure everyone knew about her terrible experience. She is the VP of IT at an extremely well-known financial institution. This is important later. I finally got an email from C with a PDF attached which was a very poorly photoshopped invoice showing $800 for installation. The letterhead only contained the company name, no address, no contact info, no website. I deal with a lot of invoices and I have never seen one that didn't at least have an address and phone number for the company. There was also no breakdown of the costs, another red flag. One would think that someone who is in charge of the IT department for a massive corporation would know how to at least make their Photoshop look authentic. So I googled the company name and her town, found the phone number for the company and called them to verify the pricing. It was a very small local business so I actually spoke with the owner. Turns out they don't even do appliance installation, they're a cabinetry renovation company. Also, the invoice number on the fake C sent me was about 8 digits short of their invoice numbers and, when the owner searched their records, they had no record of C ever being a customer of theirs. Before this, I had been planning on offering C a little over $1,000 in compensation but since she tried to scam us I cut everything down to the bare minimum of our compensation calculation guidelines which came out to about $800 total. When I emailed C to offer this amount, I mentioned that I had not received a quote and had been unable to confirm the cost of her installation with the company so we wouldn't be able to cover any more than the initially offered $150 for installation which was included in the $800 offer and would not be reimbursed separately. Luckily, she knew she was caught and accepted it without a fight but I had already run everything by our legal depends first so I was ready if she had flipped out. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.